Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're going to go ahead and explore a little bit about the if function and how it could go actually beyond true and false, where we had in previous video we said if the condition is true then we could go ahead and do it this way, otherwise we're going to do a different action. Here I'm going to go ahead and find the total sales first of all, which is going to be the addition of these two right there, and I'm going to go ahead and use the fill handle to do the calculation for the total for obviously 3 employees. I have them there, employee 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to give them a discount based on more than one condition. The discount is going to be 10% if I have the total sale is greater than or equal to 500. We all understand if the total sale is not greater than or equal to 500, it's going to be less than 500. But here I'm going to check, since it's less than 500, I'm going to check if it's greater than or equal to 300. If that is the case, then we're going to give it 7%. What is left for us? If it's not greater than or equal to 500, it must be less than 500, because I really bounded that value by greater than or equal to 300. If that is the case, then we're going to give them 7% discount. Otherwise, it's going to be, if it's not greater than or equal to 300, it's going to be less than 300, and automatically they will get the 5%. Let's go ahead and do this in actual writing or formula. Or if we want to go ahead and do this greater than or equal to this. And notice that 10%, it's in C7. I'm going to leave it as a cell address because just in case a manager decided to change the 10% to 12% later. But here, because it's standing alone by itself, I have to hit the F4 to lock it. If that is the case, then actually, I'm sorry, the cut is here. It's like greater than or equal to 500. So I'm going to say if it's greater than or equal to 500, I'll go ahead and click on this, and then I'll lock it because now it's the value. Otherwise, since I have more than one condition, if I had 2, then I would put this 7%, I'm done. However, of course I need to lock it, but however, I have 2 of them left. So I'm going to say if to continue with this. So we are nesting if statement. If this is greater than or equal to 3,000, then we're going to go ahead and, 300, sorry. We're going to go ahead and get the 7%, and don't forget to lock it since it's 7%. Otherwise, here we go. If that is the case, then we'll go ahead and put the 5%. And we're going to close this and close this. Look how the parenthesis is going to match the color. And immediately we're going to get the 5% here. Why we got the 5% here? Because $124 is not greater than or equal to 500. So we're going to go ahead and take like another round to the if statement. The second if statement is really $124 greater than or equal to 300. No, so we're going to go ahead directly to this one here. So which is the 5%. So that's why we got the 5%. Of course, you told me this is. I'm going to select the whole thing, give that actually 2 digits to the right of the decimal points. I'm going to drag it. And here we go, we got the 10%. Why? Because D4 is greater than or equal to 500, which is 1433. Immediately we're going to get the whatever in C7, and we're done. The same thing for this one here, whatever. Let me go ahead and make this a little bit, say $10 here. And that is going to be 7%. Why? Because it's not a 353 is not greater than or equal to 500. We're going to go to the second test, which is D5. 353 is greater than or equal to 300. Yes, it's true. So I'm going to get in this one here, and we're going to really be done. So the reason I like to have those in a separate cell by itself, just in case we wanted to just exaggerate here to get the point across, like we have 20%, 30%, 20%, and 10%. So you see immediately all this changes as a result. Always try to use those that could possibly change as an absolute address because you have the control of changing the values later. Okay, so this is a good example, and notice here the calculation here is based on whatever we have in the cell. Another example I could use, if I want you to go ahead and let's assume that I have, let me go ahead and do this here in another sheet. Of course, I need to go to the view, and we should be able to zoom that to 100%, and we could go ahead and do that. Let's say, assume I have a couple students here. I'm not going to really make it very, very long video, so I'm going to go ahead and say John, and I have Mary, and let's go ahead and say Susie here. Then we have 3 tests. Test 1 through test 3. Here we go, test 3. Then we have 2 quizzes, quiz 1 and quiz 2. Go ahead and do that. And we have 2 projects, project 1 and project 2. Okay, we're going to go ahead and calculate the score based on the cell. We will go ahead and do that in a second, and we're going to go ahead and have the grade that they would call traditional. Again, if that, you know that drill here, if it's greater than or equal to 90, the score is going to be A, see here. And if it's greater than or equal to 80 and less than 90, it's going to be B. And here we go. We're going to go ahead and say that's greater than or equal to 70. It's going to be C, as long as less than 80. And it's going to be less than or equal to 60. We're going to go ahead and get D. Otherwise, less than 60, it's going to be F. Also, the professor who is really teaching this classes decided to have the test as a whole as 55% of the overall grade. Quizzes, let's say 10%, and project, of course, need to be the remaining, which is going to be 55 plus 10, that is 65, so it must be 35 for the project. How do we verify that is really what? See, total must be equal to 100%. I say if the sum of all these, okay, equal 100%, then it's going to say you're okay. Now look, I'm saying here you are okay is a word or a string, meaning multiple words, or a text, then we must enclose it between the double quotation. If you're really doing a calculation or a numerical calculation, you should never put that calculation between double quotes. That will treat it as a text. So you don't want to kill or prevent Excel from seeing the calculation. If I say, for example, let's say I want to give the person 10 additional grade for whatever reason. So because you know, later if the score is like below certain things and I want to add 5 to it, if I add the score plus the 5 to it, it has to be without the double quotation. Any mathematical calculation must be outside. For example, here, if I wanted to add like 10 plus 5 for whatever reason, let's demonstrate this. Now we're going to get you are okay because it's 10%. If I did actually, this is less than, it's going to give me the 15. Why give me the 15? Because I ended up with doing the addition or doing something of some sort of calculation. Of course, that's not what we want. I just want to emphasize this idea. If you want to do a calculation in a statement, never ever enclose that between double quotes. I'll say, look, you probably make a mistake. Look, you made a mistake. And here we go. Notice here, look, you made a mistake because the total is not 100%. And of course, I need to go ahead and look around what happens here. Maybe this one need to be 35, or maybe this need to be 20. Let's go ahead and see that. It's possible. Yeah. Okay, we could change it. That's the reason I like this, because it's changeable. And I'm going to go ahead and create very quickly fake text between 0 and 100. Okay, that's possibly, and I'm going to go ahead and drag this all the way to here and all the way down. And now this is going to be changing constantly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to right click on the edge of this and take it all the way to, take it to the right, then take it back to the left. Look here, I'm doing the right click on the mouse to the right, take it to the left and let go of it. And now it's a copy here as value only, which is fantastic trick that will actually, the random between will leave me alone so it doesn't keep changing. So how we calculate the score, we're going to go ahead and say, these are the tests going to be this much contributing to the overall score. These are the two going to contribute this much to the overall score. And the project going to contribute this much to the overall score. So the average of the test, all right, multiplied by this, after of course we need to lock it, plus the average of these two multiplied by this one here, all right, and of course let me go ahead and lock this as well, plus, and we're going to go ahead and do, okay, the average of, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Okay, let me delete this one second. I don't want you to, I don't want to get out of the frame of the recording. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it one more time. Hopefully it will see that. Then we have to have here plus, and plus what? Plus the average of all these. It's going to go down in a second, so outside, but it's going to get back. Okay, we're going to go ahead and say average of these multiplied by this one here that's standing alone, and freeze it by hit F4. So this is the formula here. I'm going to go ahead and enlarge this a little bit. Okay, that cell, so we'll be able to see it. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and we're going to get the score right there. And if I drag this all the way down, I've got miserable scores here. So we're going to go ahead and do like 91 for every score for Susie. You know, we know it's going to get 91 as a total, so we're not going to really, if we're going to go to John and get him, let's say 80 for, you know, it doesn't matter for now because I really need to get the video through because I'm not allowed more than 15 minutes. And of course I could go ahead and go to the home, cut that as much as possible. Okay, like all the way to. Now the grade is the story here. I'm going to go ahead and push that a little bit out of the recording. And we're going to go ahead and say now we have 5 grades. We're going to say here if, look here, if this is greater than or equal to 90, then what are we going to get? We're going to get A. I'm going to go ahead and use the A between double quotes. If, meaning else if, this is actually greater than or equal to 80. If it's not greater than or equal to 90, it must be less than 90. So we have to catch it. If it's greater than or equal to 80, then it's going to be, otherwise we're going to go ahead and catch it if it's greater than or equal to 70, if it's less than 80, greater than or equal to 70. And we're going to go ahead and get C. Otherwise, if it's going to go down, thanks God. All right, sorry about that. And I'm going to say here, open that. If this is going to be greater than or equal to 60, then we're going to go ahead and say, okay, give me a D here. Otherwise, give me an F. Okay, and you like to pause the video in order to examine this. Please do that. Obviously, I didn't close all these with the right amount of parentheses. Here we go. See, there's one more left. The black matches the final one. Here we go, F, 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 and we're going to go ahead and get A at the end. However, if I change this to all 80s, we know that's going to give a B. So we're going to go ahead and change that all to 80. Okay? You know, this is actually the brilliant calculation with multiple if statement. And I'm going to go ahead and stop here because I'm only having 25 seconds or something. No, actually 40 seconds. So I'm going to stop, and as a result, I'm going to go ahead